Good evening, and thank you all for joining us this evening, Tuesday, October 8th, 2024, for this candidate forum for the Rancho Santa Fe School Board. We want to extend a special thank you to the Rancho Santa Fe Education Foundation for hosting the forum, and to you, the Rancho Santa Fe residents who care about the future of your community. I am Chris Harris, a proud member of the League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego, and I will be the moderator this evening. The League was founded in 1920 when women in the United States first had the right to vote. And while our name is the League of Women Voters, don't let that fool you. We welcome everyone to join us in our mission to promote active, informed public participation at all levels of government. I'd like to point out that the League of Women Voters is strictly nonpartisan. We never endorse or impose a political party or a candidate for public office, although we do sometimes, in a completely separate arm of the League, our advocacy arm, take positions on vital issues. Our guiding principle for candidate forums is to provide a fair and impartial platform for tonight's candidate forum. Rules call for civility on the part of both the candidates and the audience. We ask for everyone's cooperation in treating each other with courtesy and respect, and audience members, we ask specifically that you not applaud or otherwise express positive or negative reactions to candidates' remarks. At the end of the forum, we will all be able to applaud all the candidates. Thank you for your help in assuring a civil discussion of the important issues that confront your community. Tonight, we will hear from Carrie Vinci, Annette Ross, Maria Luoni, Janice Holowalka, Victoria Gamble, Karen Esrich, and Kate Butler. These candidates are running for a 4-year term on the Rancho Santa Fe School Board. We will start with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. After opening statements, we will begin question and answer period. Generally, candidates will have up to 1 minute to respond to each question. I may allow more time for complex questions, or I might insert a speed round where candidates will be asked to respond to a question with 1 word. Very difficult for candidates. I'll let you know up front what my intention is. There will be no separate rebuttals. However, the candidates may choose to use some of their time or all of their time to rebut other candidates' response. Following the questions, each candidate shall have 1 minute for a closing statement in reverse order from the opening statements. The order in which the candidates are giving their opening statements has been determined randomly, and I will rotate the order in which candidates respond to questions for each question. Our timer will give the candidate a 30-second warning with a yellow flag sign, and will hold up a red sign when the candidate's time is up. Candidates must wrap up their answer when time is up, or they will be cut off. So enough of this, let's get started. We are doing opening statements, starting with candidate Esrich.
Thank you everyone for being here tonight. My name is Karen Esrich. I'm a mom of 4 children, all attending our Roger Rowe, 2 in middle school and 2 in the elementary school. Like many of you, I'm deeply invested in our community. As a parent and community member, I want our schools to focus on the essentials: academics, excellence, character, and safety. I believe in standing up for our kids and their future, and I'm here to make sure our schools reflect the values and standards we all hold dear. To get to know me better, here's a list of things I support and believe in. I support an engaging curriculum that teaches reading, writing, and arithmetic. I support teaching accurate and factual history. I believe in high education standards for every child, no matter their academic level. I support healthy, clean food for our kids, more recess, and opportunities for students to learn in an outdoor setting. I support parental involvement in parents' rights and transparency in school decisions. I value EQ, emotional intelligence, as much as IQ. I support our veterans and want children to respect those who fought and are currently fighting for our freedom. I believe in the Constitution and saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school. I do not support SEL. Instead, I want a curriculum focused on character, kindness, and integrity. I will not waste taxpayer money. I will respect the Brown Act and enforce strong policies on discipline and cell phone use with fidelity. Safety is a top priority so parents feel secure about their children at school. I understand the importance of preserving our community and listening to parents and residents. I love Rancho Santa Fe, and I'm committed to advocating for the children at our Roger Row.
Thank you. Candidate Butler.
My name is Kate Butler. My husband, Tom Vieira, and I have 2 children at Roger Row. Our daughter, Claire, is in 3rd grade, and our son, Lauren, is in 7th. They've been at Row since my son was in kindergarten. Next year, in 8th grade, he'll be a lifer. We're very proud of that. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in San Diego. I've attended public schools most of my life. I went to Torrey Pines High School, UCLA, and I have a PhD in art history from Columbia University. My specialty is 20th century French art, and I've published extensively on French art, Henri Matisse and George Braque. I was a curator at the Barnes Foundation in Philadelphia and a curator and a professor at Washington University in St. Louis before relocating to San Diego when my daughter was born about almost 9 years ago. I'm currently a private curator and art advisor for a select group of private clients. My husband and I are very involved in the community. Tom is the scoutmaster for the Rancho Santa Fe Boy Scout Troop. We're parishioners at Church of the Nativity in Rancho Santa Fe. And for the past 5 years, I was a trustee of the Rancho Santa Fe Education Foundation, the nonprofit that raises money for the school. For 3 years, I was co-chair and chair of annual giving. In those 5 years, we raised over $5 million for the school. I'm very proud of that commitment. Why am I running for school board? I support academic excellence, meeting the needs of all kids at all levels. I would like a safe and thriving school community, fiscal responsibility, and administrative stability so we can move forward and implement some progress and change at the school. Thank you. I love the school, I love the people, and I want it to be the best it can be. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gamble.
Hello, good evening. My name is Victoria Gamble. My husband and I have 3 young children, one of whom is a 2nd grader at Roger Row. We also have an older daughter who started at UC Boulder this fall. I grew up in LA on the west side, and I went to a school not dissimilar to Roger Row. It was also K through 8 with about 550 students. However, our Roger Row was an Irish Catholic nun, very strict. Most of us feared her. Most of the parents, I believe, did too. And like Roger Row, she was incredibly well respected, uncompromising in her values, and we knew she loved us. And during the 50 years that she served as principal, she touched countless lives. As I understand it, Roger Row had a very similar magic. Kim Pinkerton, our new superintendent, has a big job, and she has already shown she is a strong leader who thinks creatively in the field of public education. And Kim deserves a strong board. A board that is focused on the issues that I think are of greatest importance to most parents: excellence in academics, safety, and financial responsibility. So why am I running? I'm an advocate. Professionally, it's a big part of my job. And personally, I enjoy advocating on behalf of others. So when a couple of issues popped up at the school last year, I found it very natural to advocate on behalf of our kids, since there's simply no greater cause. In terms of the next 4 years, I'd like to see a board that works well together, develops appropriate policies, establishes budget priorities, and reflects the influence of many voices rather than a select few. The board sets the standards of achievement. Our kids are here to learn not only a core curriculum, but a love of learning and how to think, so they are prepared for the world that awaits them and all of its complexities. It cannot be overstated, these years K through 8 are foundational. I would also like to see a zero-tolerance policy on bullying. It would seem a reasonable expectation that our children are safe from external as well as internal threats at the school. Finally, I'd like to see the board think creatively about spending. Having met recently with Allison Opitz, our Director of Finance, I know she is, and she's an incredible asset who has shown great resourcefulness in accessing restricted funds granted by the state. Kim is doing the same.
Ms. Gamble, the red sign is up.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Vinci.
Good evening. My name is Kerry Vinci. I have been a Rancho Santa Fe community member since 1982. I'm born and raised in San Diego. Graduated Torrey Pines High School in 1984. I run a heavy civil construction company in this area since 1986 and have employed up to 140 local people. We have 2 kids. Both have attended Roger Rowe since kindergarten. And I have served on the Rancho Santa Fe Education Foundation Board now for 6 years and been involved in many aspects of fundraising to provide funds for our school and many fun activities as well. I am seeking your vote for Rancho Santa Fe School Board to achieve unity, common sense, and provide sound judgment for stable, proactive governance and fiscal responsibility for our district. I will work to build a solid administration team to work together to provide a high standard of common sense, fact-based, unbiased education for our kids in a safe, well-maintained facility. I feel I'm a great choice for the board team because my 40 years experience in the construction business, managing people and many projects. I'm a problem solver by nature and a voice of reason. I listen well and observe all points with an open mind and work well with others in a solution-oriented approach to formulate positive solutions to sometimes very complex issues. The key to success is teamwork with great leadership. Together, everyone achieves more. I will assure our district to provide fact-based curriculum to promote open-minded, free-thinking students. It's all about our kids.
Thank you. Candidate Luone.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Maria Luone. My husband, Mark Nyes, who's an attorney in San Diego, moved into the community in 2020, in large part because of the school. We have 2 children in the 4th grade, Jack and Juliana Nyes, and they absolutely love Roger Rowe. I'm running because I'm committed to using my skills to really make our school the centerpiece of the community as it should be. I believe in our potential to continually improve and grow as a learning community. Collaboration, transparency, and stability breed progress much more than divisive discourse. And I believe in my professional career, I've consistently and successfully worked across solutions that incorporate a wide range of viewpoints. My experience has spanned, I hate to say it, over 30 years, I still feel 25, of business leadership in healthcare. I have run my own consulting firm. I've held leadership positions with Boston Children's Hospital, Athena Health, and NextGen Healthcare. I've reported to boards and I've been on boards. I can't seem to shake education. I grew up with a father who put everything on the line 32 years ago to start a hands-on education company, FOSS, Halls of Science, when nobody knew what hands-on science or hands-on education meant. At Children's Hospital in Boston, I was tasked with building and working with a maternal and child research grant that did evidence case-based curriculum. I've come a long way since then. I believe my experience equips me with the skills to serve a leadership role on the board and a deep-seated personal reason to do so. I, like Carrie, want to focus on practical, logical-based solutions. My top priorities, of course, are supporting our superintendent, increasing academic achievement, securing and ensuring a safe and healthy environment, both physically and mentally, and enforcing fiscal responsibility. I would be very delighted to receive your support. Thank you so much.
Candidate Hellerich.
Hello, my name is Janice Haloka, and I'm running for Rancho Santa Fe School Board because I'm deeply committed to K through 8 public education and the well-being of our Rancho Santa Fe community. I hold a BS in marketing and an MBA in international business with a professional background in consumer product marketing, management, and educational consulting. These experiences have developed my strategic thinking, leadership, and problem-solving skills. Additionally, as a parent of 2 children with different strengths and abilities, I've gained valuable insights into the diverse challenges facing students and families. I believe these perspectives, along with my professional expertise, has equipped me with the skills to serve effectively as a Rancho Santa Fe School Board trustee and to fulfill the responsibilities of this important role. If elected, my priorities will include elevating student success, by expanding access to curriculum and instruction that helps students develop critical thinking, problem-solving, empathy, and leadership skills, which are essential for navigating an ever-changing world. Empowering school staff by providing them with incentives, collaboration time, training, and resources they need to be successful, which includes ensuring that every student thrives academically in a safe and supportive learning environment. And building trusting relationships through strengthening trust, collaboration, and positive relationships between the Board of Trustees, superintendent, school staff, and parents, including by creating opportunities for open dialogue and opportunities to work together in the best interest of students. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Ross.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for giving me the privilege to serve these last 4 years. It's truly been an honor and a tremendous learning experience. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Annette Ross, our current board president. I'm also a wife and mother of 5 daughters, one who is a current 6th grader at Roger Rowe. I care about education. I believe a good education helps to make our dreams come true. And not only that, it helps us find our purpose, and that's what gives life meaning. Schools were built and classrooms were filled because learning is a good idea. And learning is a lifelong endeavor. What I've appreciated the most about being on the board was the opportunity that I've had to learn and grow. And it was a big learning curve. Last year, the 2 concerns that I heard about the most from parents were, is my child learning enough? Is the education rigorous? And the second issue surrounded school discipline, sometimes lack thereof, and inconsistencies. I believe we begin to address these problems and all problems with strong leadership. Getting it right can be tricky, and we've wrestled with that as a board. But no one individual board member, me included, can solve these problems in isolation. We have to do it together. Our role is to create policies and provide good governance, support our leadership, and hold them accountable. When that doesn't work, or we see it not working, we make changes. That is never easy, but sometimes unavoidable. With that said, moving forward, I have no agenda, except an open mind and a heart that seeks the goodwill for this community, especially our children. I will always seek to understand, and I don't think that I'm always right. And maybe most importantly, I'm not a political watchdog. I'm a conservative in the way I live my life. So let me be clear that my relationship with God transcends any political ideology. I'll bring my values to the conversation, and I welcome a rich conversation. But I can promise this community is to continue to listen, to share what I hear with our leadership, and try to see different points of view. A change of opinion doesn't mean I change my values. I believe a good education should always teach students not what to think, but how to learn to think for themselves. Go Eagles.
Thank you. That's the longest you will get to speak tonight. Okay? Just so you know. And I made the mistake of not watching the timer as you're speaking spontaneously and not reading. Make sure you watch the timer so you don't go over. Okay, the first question. 1 minute. And I would like to emphasize that this is about kids, right? About students. What does the school district do really well for students? And what one single area do you feel the district needs the most improvement for students? And we are starting with candidate Butler, please.
Oh boy, what do we do really well? We have a very strong community, and I think the community supports the students. We have strong academics. I mean, could they be better? Maybe. But I think we have good, solid foundation. So in many ways, community and academics go together. And the question was, what do we need to improve upon? Our middle school. Our middle school still needs work.
Thank you. Candidate Luoni.
Yeah, thank you. I think, what does our school do well? I think we have some of the best educators that any school district can claim. I think our teachers, my experience with our teachers is they balance the state requirements of education, innovation, real world experience. My kids were exposed to a stock market challenge last year in the 3rd grade. And I think they try to find relevance in their curriculum. I have 2 children, I hope you all do, who wake up every day and want to come to Roger Rowe. And that tells me we're doing something right. Where do we need or where can we focus? My kids are not in the middle school yet, but I think the conversation, the concerns, and the challenges at the middle school level, as well as absenteeism, probably point to a root cause that we as a school board and a school administration should look to remediate. Thank you.
Candidate Haluka.
I think that what the school district does really well is the academics. It helps, it's very good in terms of achievement rates. What I think that the school district could focus more on is building those critical thinking skills. And also teaching kids how to learn. And I don't think that this is necessarily an issue with our Roger Rowe, but it's becoming an issue across the nation. I think we've lost a lot of emphasis on teaching kids the skills that they need to be successful. So I'd like to see all school districts focus more on ensuring that school students can navigate the ever-changing world.
Thank you. Candidate Ross.
I think what we do well is I think the school feels safe for the students, and I think they feel really well loved by their teachers. I think they feel a lot of warmth coming here. I think we need to still really work. What I heard the most from parents, like I said earlier, was a more rigorous education where we're meeting the needs of all academic learners. Not an easy thing to do at all, but I think we do need to work on that.
Thank you. Candidate Gamble.
So I would actually agree with Maria. I think one of the things that we've really got going for us as a school is the quality of the teachers. I've only seen sort of uphand and personal the kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade teachers, but they're phenomenal in adapting in all kinds of environments. And if anybody was aware sort of some of the issues we were having last year in 1st grade, Lauren Hapanowitz and Joy Mendoza deserve purple medals based on the experience that they were having. So I think we have fantastic administrators and staff and teachers here at the school. I mean, there's a lot that there's a couple of things that I think I would specifically improve that I sort of mentioned, and one is really cracking down on bullying, especially in the middle school, as some have said, and I've seen some of it sort of at the earlier years as well. And I think a lot of this is going to go to sort of having a core mission statement, right? Having a value system that trickles through the entire school.
Thank you. Candidate Vinci.
I would like to say that I feel this school has a great staff. The teachers are phenomenal. Many of them have been here for many, many years. And I think the other thing that's really great about this school is the small class sizes. That is very, very great for the kids. Get a lot of one-on-one time. And I feel that improvement needs to be in the middle school level, and try to integrate middle school a little bit more into the whole school. I feel that there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and I'd like to see that brought together.
Thank you. Candidate Estridge.
So I went to Oceanside High and all Oceanside schools growing up, and that education, while it was good, it was completely different than what my kids are experiencing here at Roger Rowe. I am blown away with the extracurricular activities, and then I guess they call them specials for art, engineering, and music. The access and the exposure that the kids have, I think, is amazing. And then also the class size, I think that is also a really big deal, and we're very fortunate with the foundation to be able to maintain that. When it comes to what the district could improve on is the absenteeism. I think we need to figure out where that's actually coming from, whether it's a community thing where people like to take a lot of vacations, or if it's kids are getting sick or whatever it is, or maybe it's just our school schedule that's not, fitting the needs of the community. The other thing is discipline and early intervention for academics.
Thank you. There are a number of questions about school safety. Can you tell me what school safety means to you and how we are coping with school safety here in Rancho Santa Fe? Does that make sense? Can we start, please, this time with candidate Gamble?
Well, I didn't grow up having to have active shooter drills, which is obviously an unfortunate reality for our kids. So I know that I think we have a presence. I have the sense that the kids are safe while they're on campus, which is relieving, obviously, as a parent. I think honestly, some of the threats are more commonly happening internally in certain hallways, apparently, or kids that just aren't aware of what the expectations are, that they need to be held to account in terms of bullying or mocking other kids. I think that's probably our biggest issue with respect to safety.
Thank you. Candidate Haloka.
I think safety encompasses so much. There's physical safety, which I think, kids probably feel physically safe here. But there's also internet safety and also bullying safety from, being bullied by other students. And I think that's a much harder issue to deal with, and it has to be dealt with on a broader sense and a comprehensive way, including with school staff and parents to ensure that, students are exposed to so much in social media these days, and I think there has to be a lot more education around the safe use of social media. And we've seen an increase in bullying and cyberbullying since after the pandemic, so I think students really need to be educated on boundaries and proper social behaviors, which has to be done not just within school, but also at home.
Thank you.
With that.
Candidate Ross.
I think the school is physically a very safe place to be, and it wouldn't be realistic to say in any district, at any place, anywhere, you could guarantee absolute safety, but we do a very good job. I agree with what Janice just said, and I think others have just said it as well, that our real problems have to do with the safety now that's happening with the internet, with safety that's happening with cell phone usage and the way the children are communicating and sometimes being very unkind to one another. I think the internal safety is our biggest issue.
Thank you. Candidate Luoni.
I think safety is in two buckets, like the rest of the candidates. There's physical safety, which should be a given, and sometimes it's not. As we all know, the world experiences things that no school should have to experience. And then there's mental and emotional security or stability as well. It's not a magic recipe. When kids feel safe and secure, they feel better, but they also do better. And so as a school, we should be providing physical safety. But in terms of emotional and social safety, what does that look like? Is it safety to be yourself? Is it safety to engage in a kind and respectful manner? Is it feeling safe to have a different opinion? Is it feeling safe to talk about concerns, issues? Use of the internet, I think, it goes without saying. It scares me on a daily basis. But I think as a school, it's a given we should be providing physical safety, but the emotional safety of our children is and should be paramount.
Thank you. Candidate Vinci.
I feel safety is a broad topic. I think this is a very safe facility here. We work very hard, or the school works very hard to make this a physically safe place. The parent check-in system and the badges is a great addition. I think a big part of safety is beyond the school and, from physical safety as far as bullying and being respectful to one another. And the internet as well is a big concern of mine. But I think promoting kids being able to engage each other and have respectful conversations among people's difference.
Thank you. And Candidate Butler.
Well, when you go last, you get to say you agree with everybody. You guys just did said such good things. If I were to add, as Carrie said, we've done a great job in the past few years at improving the physical safety, the new gates, the added fencing, the self-locking doors, all of these things that we would want, in an emergency. One of the things that I think will help us is administrative stability and sorry, she just flashed her sign. It's very hard when you have a new superintendent or a new principal every year to have continuous programming and to work on something from the following year and apply it to the next year. So I think in many ways, having some programs where you can track student behavior across the different years with a safe and stable administration will give us a good foundation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Eskridge, I apologize. You should have been before Candidate Butler, but go ahead.
I agree with all of the other candidates when it comes to the safety, when it comes to the mental health piece of it. But I do feel like through a lot of conversations I've had with people of the community, there's a lot of people that rely on the security patrol that we have right here. And I think a lot of people think that's what's going to keep us safe. But that is not what's going to keep us safe. We need to have all those exterior safety protocols set in place. And I think that we could be stronger with that and definitely look at the mental health piece to it. And then when it comes to drills, I think drills are important. I think they should be done regularly because they do cause anxiety in children. And if it becomes something that they do on a regular basis, it can reduce that anxiety to where they know what they're supposed to do versus having it sprung on them all of a sudden. So,
Thank you. This is the fated yes or no question. And that's all we want, a yes or a no. And we are just going to go down the table from here down, okay?
Okay.
So, do you support teachers wearing pride or rainbow signs and to create safe spaces for the students in their classroom for LGBT students? And we're going to start here and just go down. Yes or no?
No.
Can I guess if I have to say yes or no, I'd say no, but
Okay?
I have a but.
Yeah, it's a no with an asterisk.
No.
No.
no. No.
Thank you. That's a quick way to get a question done. Okay. Here we go. Do you believe that Roger Rowe needs so many administrative staff, such as 2 principals, a vice principal, a superintendent, etc.? The school seems to be very top-heavy right now, and we are starting with Candidate Vinci.
I feel there's been a lot of change in staffing from superintendents and principals over the last few years. And I feel sometimes it feels as if it's top-heavy, but I think that until certain stability happens amongst administration, and I generally feel that one principal and an assistant principal for the whole school or 2 principals should be adequate, with the superintendent overseeing the overall operation.
Thank you. Candidate Eskridge.
Yes, I do believe that it's top-heavy. It's also very confusing with the communication. that comes home. I don't know who I'm going to get a call from. I don't know who's in charge of what. So I think reducing the admin and having everyone have very clear roles about what they're going to do helps the parents. Because I got a call about my son from somebody who doesn't know about my son, but it was an admin, and then I had to request that an admin who actually has a relationship with my son could talk to me, and there was a lot of confusion just back and forth. So I think it's simple things like that that we can, sorry, that yellow, really. As soon as that flashes, yes, okay. So I do think we are top heavy, and I think the roles are confusing, and it hasn't necessarily been clarified to parents of who does what.
Thank you. Candidate Maloney.
The answer is I don't know, and here's why I don't know. When I look to right size an organization, I need to know what the goals, the mission, and the strategy is of that organization. I need to know what everybody's doing. I need to know what everybody is going to accomplish. If there's 4 people, 5 people, or 6 people, I need to know what they're going toward and what they're rowing and rolling toward. When I look at the current school now, what we need is stability. We need a clear goal. We need to make sure we're focused on the strategies we said we would be focused on, and year over year we focus on those. Until we get that stability in place, which we are growing and moving toward, we have a new superintendent. We all agree we have excellent administration and teacher and educational staff. Do I know if the organization is right-sized? No, because I don't know that we've reached that stability point where we're clear on our goals, our missions, and our objectives. And in part and parcel, that's why I'm running. I'd love to be part of that.
Thank you. Candidate Ross.
I think they should all go. No, I'm just kidding. I think we have a tremendous administration right now. We got ourselves a dedicated middle school principal. That was something that we heard loud and clear that was necessary and needed. We have a phenomenal and efficient and talented superintendent, a phenomenal elementary school principal. We are in a really great place. Does that mean that there might need to be some tweaking? There might need to be some tweaking. But at the moment, I'm quite pleased with where we're at.
Thank you. Candidate Butler.
I don't think we're top-heavy at the moment. I think we need 2 principals. I think the middle school needs its own principal. We've had a new principal in the middle school every year since we got here, almost. So I'd like to see a principal stay. The vice principals never stay, they move on because we're too small of a school. So if you are ambitious, you don't stay, you go. So, and right now we have a vice principal who's focusing on discipline, which we've said is a priority at the school. So I think for now we're good, but give us a few years and we'll look at it again.
And Candidate Gamble.
So at this point, I think having a new superintendent, the last thing that we would be focusing on is whether or not we need to thin out our administration. Is this specifically about administration or is it teachers as well?
No, it was about administration.
Okay. I think Beth Engstrom is fabulous. I think Allison Opitz, she's our director of finance. I've sat down with her a couple of times. She is remarkable. I mean, the creativity that she has applied to, there's a lot of restricted funds that we as a school can't utilize because we don't have the population that would lend us to utilizing some of these funds. She's gotten into sort of a barter system with other schools so that she can exchange some of these funds for funds that we can use. Our front desk administration, Norberto, Dory, Nurse Helen, I just can't imagine not having the staff, the administrative staff that we do. And I feel really fortunate for everybody who's at the school. So no, I don't think that we're top heavy. I think we're right sized, maybe even hire more.
Thank you. School finance is incredibly complex. It could be a college course all of itself.
Oh, I didn't get to answer.
Oh,
Sorry.
I apologize.
That's okay. In general, I think that there's been a trend within a lot of the school districts in San Diego to increase that the administrative staff, and in general, I'm against it. But I do not think that Rancho, our school district, is top heavy. I think that The parents would you need to have somebody, different principals to be able to contact, and also a different principal for the elementary school and middle school because they face very different challenges. So I personally do not think that having 2 different principals and a superintendent is very top-heavy.
Thank you. And if I leave you out, please
Don't worry. I will.
Thank you. I'm going to start again. School finance could be a college course. It is very complex. What is your understanding of the school budgeting process? And do you know how the school receives its funding? And we are going to start with Loroni, candidate Loroni.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I do. So I think the school budget, yes, is complicated. Any budget is complicated. It starts the year before. How the school is funded is a number of things. How many kids are in the school? Do the kids show up? So absenteeism is a problem for funding and budgeting as well. I think maintaining a budget, whether it's a school budget or any type of budget, is very, very tricky. Because the budget is set the year prior, it involves looking at and taking into consideration stakeholder feedback. It also looks at juggling. If something's either in the budget or out of the budget, if a concession is made for something that's outside the budget, how do you balance it? And how do you level set it so that you stay on budget throughout the year? I think we have the good fortune, I think Victoria mentioned, of having a very skilled and having very skilled budget and financial support. We've maintained a balanced budget over the last year or so. It has been problematic in the past. But yes, I'm very familiar with budgeting.
Thank you. And candidate Gamble.
I love money, so this was particularly interesting to me when I was thinking about running and sort of what it is that we, if you want to talk about having a language program, having the teachers' kids go to the school, it's all going to come down to budget at the end of the day. And I think there's this perception that we have this piggy bank of money sitting there. Why aren't we spending the money? What's the money going to? We're raising all this money, and this is a public school, so there's total transparency. You can go and sit down with Allison and find out exactly where all the money's going. So do I understand the budget? Was I think the question. I have probably a second grader's level understanding at this point of this budget. It is very complex. There's a lot of coding that happens with a public school budget that if you just looked at, and you could print out document upon document of a school budget that you would not necessarily understand without, maybe a master's degree in finance, in a public school. I think if we're asking about or talking about improvements, no.
Okay. Candidate Butler.
So we are what's called a basic aid school district. The majority of our school funding comes from property taxes. Our school budget is running right now between $15 and $16 million a year. The second largest source of income for the school after property taxes is the Education Foundation grant. It's $1.1 million. After that, it's dribs and drabs of kind of single source funding that comes from the state. So that's how our budget is run. It is not, we do not get money when students attend. That's actually one of the reasons we have such high chronic absenteeism. You don't have to come to school, the money just comes through, it's just property taxes. So that's always a challenge with us. Yes, I would do my best to understand the budget, and I do have to give kudos to Allison Opeltz, who's phenomenal. She's our Director of Finance. And yes, if you go to the board meetings, you can get the budget.
Thank you. Candidate Esrich.
I'm familiar with it on a certain level. I was going to repeat a lot of what you said. When we're basic aid, we don't get our funding from students being in their seat every day. Our funding comes from taxpayer dollars. I am aware that some of our funding is federal from special ed. Special ed funding has a different priority when it comes to the school spending. So I do know that there's an order of spending and how we're supposed to spend our finances. So I'm familiar with it in that way, but would love to learn more.
Candidate Hello.
In terms of the budget, I think it's very important to look at both the long term and also the short term. So the long term is looking at what kind of school maintenance, facilities maintenance, or any projects that would need to be done in terms of improvements, and also the short term in terms of funding different programs. And the largest portion of any school budget will be teachers, which is very important because they're the ones who directly provide services to our students. So, and also in terms of where we get the financing as a basic aid school district, even though the attendance does not impact the budget, we should still be looking at chronic absenteeism because student attendance is very important for learning. If a student isn't in school, then they can't learn. So we still have to look at why a student is absent if they're chronically absent.
Thank you. Candidate Ross.
Kate, you did a beautiful job with that. Very concise and absolutely totally accurate. We're a basic aid district. We get some limited money from the state. Allison is tremendous. We have a tremendous director of finance. She does a beautiful job. And I guess the only thing I would say, my only other thought to add to all of that is, I don't think we're a savings account. I think Roger Rowe always said we should spend it on the kids. If we have money, we should be spending it on the kids. We should always have money for a rainy day. But I believe in putting it out there to help our school.
Thank you. And Candidate Vinci.
The school budget is a very complex item, as you stated. That said, I understand the basics of it. I understand the basics of running a budget for big projects and small projects. And I also understand that you have to be very forward-looking and you have to work together with the people that know how the money needs to be spent. I know that I believe about 90% of the budget is spent on staffing. So understanding the needs for staff is highly important, and being able to project and look into the future of the next year to be able to plan, and certain aspects of certain special funds that come in that can be used for special projects. I think that needs to be watched and allocated appropriately to keep the school functioning in a smooth process.
Thank you. Everyone got a chance? We're going to do another yes or no, and we're going to start with Candidate Estridge. The question is, do you think the board should have conducted a broad search for the recent replacement of the superintendent?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Thank you. Good, fast information. Okay. We talked about school safety, but many parents are concerned about bullying. What kind of program does the district have a program? What do you think the solution to bullying in the class at the school is? And we are going to start this time with Candidate Haluka.
I think approaching and stopping bullying or addressing bullying has to be comprehensive. So there has to be, you have to look at preventative measures in education in terms of making children aware of different appropriate behaviors. Also then having anti-bullying workshops and other activities to engage the community, particularly the students, in addressing bullying. But most importantly, it's that school districts have to address proactively any reports of bullying and take specific actions to investigate and then act to stop the bullying, prevent reoccurrence, and also to prevent recurrence and to address any harm to the student who was bullied.
Candidate Ross.
I guess I would begin by saying we should model that behavior as adults and set an example. They look to us, so that I would begin there. I wouldn't expect my own children to be that much different than me. So that would be a really great way to start. The other thing we've done is we've implemented now, we're beginning to, the Leader in Me curriculum. And I think that the tenets of that, and I think there's like maybe 6, autonomy and like self-discipline. I mean, that's sort of the beginning of helping the students, I think, create a better culture and environment.
Candidate Vinci.
I think bullying is a very important, complex issue. I think that it does definitely starts as lead by example. I feel very strongly that any case of bullying should be taken very seriously. Doesn't matter how small or how large, whether it's verbal or physical. And I think in any instance of bullying, you need to look at both sides and try to figure out why it happened and what's going on with the person that is doing the bullying. Many times there's bigger issues there. And I think a lot of support needs to be given to the person that has received bullying. And I think a fairly serious level of discipline needs to be put in place for any act of bullying. It should not be tolerated on any level.
Thank you. Candidate Esrich.
I believe that children should learn how to self-advocate when it comes to standing up for themselves, and when a child is complaining about another child, it's taken seriously. Because sometimes that's when the children get pushed to a limit of doing something or saying something, and I feel like there's a lot of kids that go unheard when it comes to their complaints. So I think just really listening to the kids and teaching them how to self-advocate is very important. And then the other thing is positive peer pressure and teaching kindness, responsibility, and integrity, and just teaching positive behavior and really encouraging that within the school community can really make a big difference.
Thank you. Candidate Butler.
So I don't think that there's a place for bullying in our school. I don't know. I mean, I've heard positive responses from the teachers. Apparently, the teachers love the Leader in Me program. They began it last year. How successful it is, I don't know. It's a program. I think we do need to apply discipline fairly and evenly, and I have heard complaints from parents in the past that discipline was, not always applied. So I think I would advocate for discipline. And there is a difference between bullying and not being nice and friendly. And I think building our school community with programs, celebrating our children, I think we could improve in those areas, and that might help with niceness in a way.
Thank you. Candidate Gamble.
So I think it's important first to define bullying, right? We're not talking about conflict. We're talking about there's a perceived sense of imbalance between two kids. Maybe it's age, socioeconomic, and that's why I'm sort of advocating for a zero tolerance policy on bullying. Conflict is useful. It has utility. We can teach kids on how to resolve the conflict that they're having. But bullying just has no place in the school, and I don't think we're preparing them for a workplace where bullying will necessarily be the expectation. So I have some creative thoughts around, how we would solve these problems, but it's going to start first with discipline, right? So both consequence as well as rehabilitation. We don't throw kids away that are bullying. We figure out how to solve the problem. There's something that's going wrong, right? And then I think community service would be a really great way to combat the negativity that is attached to bullying and in some cases conflict.
Thank you. And candidate.
Yeah, I think we should have a zero tolerance for bullying, but I think in order to hold people accountable and to discipline against it, we need to understand, and kids need to understand what it is. And so it doesn't mean that you're not always nice. It means that you've taken a step that's beyond appropriate. I think it's important to understand where the bullying happens and to make sure we have safeguards and checks and balances to watch it. moderate it, manage it, and hold people accountable in the moment as well. So where are those vulnerable spots where kids are being bullied? I do believe whether we use the term discipline or accountability, there needs to be consistency, and it needs to be done in the moment and immediately.
Thank you. Yeah? I got it this time. Yeah. We have two questions about school board meetings. So the first is, how much time do you realistically have to address school board issues? Spend time talking with parents and understand the issues on a daily or weekly basis. In other words, do you have that time? And the second one that I'd like to add to it, I just need a number, and candidate Ross will have the biggest number, but how many board meetings have you attended in the past year? Okay? So one is, how many board meetings have you attended? And the other one is, how much time do you have to do this job? And we are starting with candidate Ross, as it happens.
I haven't missed a board meeting this past year.
Okay.
How much time do I spend? Sometimes 8 hours a day, easy, on the phone. Not every single day. It depends on what's happening. But I spend easily 25 hours a week.
Thank you. Candidate Vinci.
I have probably been to, in the last year, maybe 4 or 5 meetings. I've watched a couple of them online. And I've been very involved in the school now for going on 9 or 10 years in many different aspects of it. I feel I probably have anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week available for school needs.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Ezrich.
I've been to probably 6 board meetings in the last year, and I am fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom, and all 4 of my kids are in school now, full-time, so I have a lot of time, and I look forward to getting to know the community and I would take this, it's like a full-time job. I would be here for the community, I would answer the phone calls, so really, however much time it takes, within reason. I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to work overtime, like 60 hours a week doing it, but maybe like solid amount, 25 to 30, like Annette said.
Okay. Candidate Gamble.
I think in the past year I've probably attended 6. A couple of those were probably on Zoom based on scheduling issues or not being able to get here. I have a full-time job, but I would say that my answer to the question is as much time as is needed to do it. I think one of the thoughts that I had was attached to the money question earlier, which is we need help, and I hope whoever's elected to the board, does this. We need help with funding, right? So there are other districts where board members are actually going to Sacramento or a part of a North County network where they are trying to get more funds from the state for our schools, specifically around special education. So whether or not your kids are involved in special education, I think we all agree it's important that we're funding it, and we have to. It's a state requirement. It gets funded first before the general education gets funded.
Thank you. Candidate Butler.
I don't know how many board meetings I've attended. Maybe half. I mean, that might be ambitious. I did attend a lot of foundation meetings. But you can always get the board agenda online, and I regularly check in with our school board members when there's a topic that's of interest. So I try to stay pretty up on the board meeting topics. I have plenty of time. I am self-employed, and I plan to continue working, but I've been a long-time volunteer for the school, and to me, being on the board is a natural move, and I have plenty of time.
Thank you. Candidate Luomi.
Yeah, I want to say 5, maybe 6 if I include the Zooms over the last year. Similar to Kate, I am self-employed. I also am the So being the owner and the president of an organization gives you the time to do what you'd like to do and the flexibility to do it as well. I also agree with Victoria. I think you find the time to do what's important to you. And there's also sort of an old adage, if you need something done, you ask a busy person, because they'll always figure out how to get it done. So.
Thank you. Candidate Haluk.
As an educational consultant and also a special education advocate, this is what I do. I listen to a lot of family issues and try to intervene and work with school districts. So I would be willing to put in as much time as needed to speak to families in our community. In terms of board meetings, I've attended probably, if you're going to include all the board meetings that I've attended, I've probably attended 15 to 20 plus board meetings, if you include San Diego, which I generally attend most of their regular board meetings, and I've attended their special board meetings, and I've attended Del Mar Union board meetings and also Oceanside Unified board meetings. So I have a very good, understanding of the Brown Act and also board governance from all different perspectives.
Okay. How do you imagine the school and the board will perform by the end of your term? In other words, if you get elected 4 years from now, and I'm guessing the question is, how do you imagine it will be different 4 years from now than it is now? Right? A real thinking question here. Thank you. We're going to start with candidate Butler.
Ooh, that's a very creative question. I like that question. I would like to see a stronger community. I would like to see I was trying to think about things that I would like to see at the school that we don't have. So some things I'm interested in are helping our students who aren't athletes. So we have a fantastic athletic program at the school. I'd like to see Math Olympiad. I'd like to see Science Olympiad. I'd like to see some programs, not just robotics, which we've done a great job of bringing back, but I'd like to see some flourishing. We have wonderful music programs. I'd like to see some flourishing in some of our STEM options and opportunities at the school.
Thank you. Candidate Luoni.
I believe the question was where we'd like to see the school board and the school.
Imagine the school and the board.
And the board, yeah.
Two things, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I'd like to see the board 4 years from now having had a long-term goal for those 4 years and having met them. And if those incorporate different things like Kate had said, that's fantastic. But it's a board who sets a long-term goal and measures, evaluates, and makes sure they meet those goals for the sake of the children at the end of the day. Also a board that is incredibly collaborative, both with the administration, the community, the parents, and is transparent in decision-making. I'd like to see a school where we rise to meet every child where they're at. I think Kate raised a great point, whether they're athletes, they're scholars, they're excelling at math, they prefer the arts, etc., and so forth. We're a school that rises to meet our children where they're at and supports where they need to go.
Thank you. Candidate Haloka.
I would like to see a more, focus on staff retention, including the superintendent, to have that consistency. And I think the problem that a lot of school districts are facing is the increase in a student population with disabilities. And I don't think our general education teachers are given the proper training to be able to to teach students with all varying needs. So I would like to see more investment in teacher training and also staff retention, because even though it might seem like it's cheaper to hire a teacher right out of school, of their certificate program, in the long run, we invest a lot in training the teachers, and it's the teachers who actually provide the education to our students.
Candidate Ross.
I would first like to see the board working together in a highly functional way. Coming together with the community to flesh out a mission and a vision. I think that I would love to be able to, from the children's perspective, I would love to hear feedback from parents saying that they feel their child is getting a really excellent education and that we're not losing as many students because they're happy with what we're providing. I think that's about it.
Thank you. Candidate Gamble.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the changes that get initiated today are going to take 4 years to fully sort of, get planted and really grow. I think that's the reality of some of the things that we've all been discussing here. Again, consistency and sort of, retention of really wonderful people, including our superintendent, a board that works well together and that's maybe more commonly in the press for its positive things as opposed to anything negative. But I think generally as a parent at the school, what I want to see is I want to see an even greater sense of community. So reaching out more into the community that's here, maybe creating some community service programs, but so that the kids have a really great sense of identity attached to the school, right? So that, they say that they went to Roger Rowe and that immediately connotes great academics, stand-up kids. So that's ultimately, I think, the overarching goal that I would have. Maybe that happens in 4 years.
Candidate Vinci.
I would like to see that the board and the administration work seamlessly together to provide, strong leadership, setting good examples for our children. I would like to see a really good focus on maintaining and improving, extracurricular activities for the kids. Also doing stuff to build community and bring everybody together, working together. I would really like to see us focus on really helping underperforming kids or, kids that feel like they're left out. I'd really like to see doing more to try to bring them up. A chain is only as strong as the weakest link, and I would like to see encouragement for stronger kids to help them.
Candidate Estridge.
I would like to have part of my focus be on the reading curriculum. Right now, we still have whole language reading being taught to certain students, and I really believe that we need to go to a science-based reading program so that kids can actually really focus on phonics and fluency, because reading is such a huge part of education. And there's a lot of kids who are really behind on reading, and the studies that talk about science-based reading drastically change the ability for kids to learn how to read. So I would like to completely remove the whole language reading.
I think the candidates may be pleased. I don't know about the audience, but this is the last question. And after this question, I have a little bit I have to say, and then we will go to closing statements. Okay, so the last question is, in what tangible ways would you help teachers feel valued and their voices heard? And we are starting with Candidate Estridge.
I think teacher recognition just on a regular basis so that kids can really, understand how hard the teachers work and calling them out and just crediting them for their hard work. So I think teacher recognition would be really important, and I don't know if that's like in an assembly or a newsletter or how that would work Friday on the field. or Friday on whatever, yeah, Friday on the field. So just really acknowledging the teachers and letting the whole school community know how great of a job that teacher is doing. And yeah.
Thank you. Candidate Luoni.
Yeah, I think embracing the teachers and making sure that we're letting them know the positive impact they have on our children. They have a very unique window into our children that we don't have. And they're with them during the day, and our kids are probably hitting milestones with these teachers that we don't even realize. And so making sure that the teachers appreciate that we understand the tremendous impact that they have on our children and our families, and whether we appreciate them more with emails saying something amazing our children shared with us that night, or the impact that they had. My daughter had a teacher that had a tremendous impact on her already just in 4 years, but being more mindful and deliberate about sharing the impact that they're having on our children, because they're very much appreciated.
Thank you. Candidate Butler.
So I think it's a great question. I think it's a project for the next school board. I don't exactly know how to show tangible appreciation for the teachers. I mean, as parents, we love them. We get them gifts at Christmas. I mean, in many ways, parents really appreciate the teachers greatly. But there is a larger, I think the teachers do feel sort of underappreciated, and it has probably stemmed in part from the constant turnover of the superintendent and the principals. We have two who are former teachers, Kim Pinkerton and Mrs. Connolly, were former teachers themselves. So I think this is something we need to look to.
Thank you. Candidate Haluka.
I feel teachers value their success on their students being successful. And so I would focus on giving teachers the tools and the skills that they need to be successful, which includes collaboration time and mentoring and training, and I think we would hear from the teachers that sometimes they feel overwhelmed and they don't feel that they get ongoing training in order to be successful in the classroom. And I think that's very important to them.
Thank you. Candidate Gamble.
I think there's a two-pronged approach whenever you're talking about retention of wonderful people, and I think Kim is very aware of this as well. I think that's one of the reasons she was happy to come back to the school, is the quality of the teachers. So two-pronged. One is certainly making teachers feel like they have value, whether it's awards, recognition, students doing well, and the other is, to go back to one of my favorite topics, is money. So you have to figure out sort of appropriately, with respect to the budget, compensation, and certainly soft compensation, which could be revisiting whether or not the teachers' children, those who are eligible, could attend the school.
Thank you. Candidate Ross.
Yeah, I think the morale for the teachers was pretty low when I started on the board. In the last 4 years, it's really improved. I think they feel a renewed sense of optimism right now. I think Victoria made a great point. I was going to say that. Definitely compensation. I think they do feel a lot of love from us. I think the consistency is really helping. But compensation is definitely another way that we can show that.
Candidate Vinci.
This school definitely has a great list of great teachers, and they do care a lot about our kids and have done a wonderful job with our kids. I think a tangible level of compensation is a difficult topic, because tangible really means money. When 90% of the budget is their salaries, that can be very difficult when there's not more money. That said, I think more events and more stuff to do to show appreciation. The foundation supports events for the teachers. The parents do a lot for teachers. I think the middle school probably needs more emphasis on teacher appreciation. There's not a lot of interaction between the community or the parents and middle school. where I think there's a lot more on the elementary school level, I think some emphasis should go towards middle school.
Thank you. Was that everything? I did. Okay. Before we move to the closing statements, I'd like to thank the candidates for agreeing to be here tonight, and to the audience for your very thoughtful questions and for coming tonight to learn more about the candidates seeking to represent you. Our democracy depends on people willing to serve and people willing to become informed and exercise their right to vote. We would like to remind you that democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you for getting in the game. Thank you again to the Rancho Santa Fe Educational Foundation for their time and effort in helping arrange this forum. We will begin in the reverse order of the opening statements, and each candidate has 1 minute. And we're starting with candidate Ross.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. This is a really charming and special school, and I've been really proud to serve. Our current leadership is experienced, some of the most devoted people I've ever met. I have complete confidence in them and the structures they're putting into place. The same is true for our teachers and staff who come to work and set the bar high. What constitutes a good education? I've realized it's a moving target. We live in a fast-paced and rapidly changing world. I've served 4 years during some really challenging times. I'm asking for your vote to continue to support the district, especially our new leadership. We have a talented team. We're getting ready to set and implement a mission and vision for a beautiful school. I believe I can add value to those conversations, and I'll continue to listen. I want to hear from all of you. We've seen the strife that comes when we try to divide people against one another. I promise to continue to be a worthy teammate, collaborate with the spirit of goodwill while always asking the question of how we can continue to make Roger Rowe the best place for education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to share my thoughts and perspectives and opinions. I haven't prepared anything, but I really feel that I can bring a lot to this board, including from my work experience as a management consulting in terms of conflict management and also staff retention. And also as an educational consultant, I feel I bring a perspective from viewing different different ways of teaching and learning through the different schools districts. And I also feel that not having a child in the school district, I can be more objective because I don't have any emotional connection to any of the teachers or staff, so I can look at it in a very objective manner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I echo a lot of the sentiments here and the topics that we've discussed. I think the school and the district have been through some challenging times. I'd like to be part of moving toward the excellence that I know Roger Rowe can achieve. I think I bring a logical, thoughtful, and very deliberate methodology to problem solving, to thinking about how to remediate problems. I've been in the community since 2020. And I would like to be a larger part. And there's no better way to do that than to focus on the education of our children. I'm fortunate enough to have children here. I'm also fortunate enough to have the time, as my career dictates, to allow me to do so. And I'd love to be part of that.
Thank you. Candidate Vinci.
Thank you. I've been a longtime community member, and this school is a very important part of this community and our family. It would be an honor to serve the families of this beautiful place. I look forward to the opportunity to be a part of the team to take this school to the next level, to continue to improve the educational experience for our children and the future leaders of our great nation. Building a great team is very important. Together, everyone achieves more. Our kids are our future.
Thank you.
I, for one, am very excited about the next 4 years with our superintendent, wonderful principals, and the number of candidates that are sitting up here today is a real testament to how much people are willing to be involved and interested in being of service. This is no small job. It can be as large as you want it to be in some instances. So To the board, as a parent, I say to the future board members that represent our community well, listen to more voices than a few, and serve as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say the same. It's been an honor to be here with all of you, and three of us will end up on the board. So I think, we have a great group of people that we'll be picking from. So I would be honored to serve with any of you. I've been out in the community a lot lately, talking, and I'm really enjoying talking to people who went through Roe and hearing where their kids are now. And I am sometimes blown away, when they say my kid's at Yale, or my kid's at Duke, or my kid's, or at USD or San Diego State. I mean, people have great respect for the school, and I just like to be part of that and help our kids get to one of those amazing places as well.
So I love living in Rancho Santa Fe. I never thought I could love living somewhere as much as I do. I absolutely adore this community. I really do love the school, and we really have, even though we've had some bumps in the road, we've had some really great experiences as well. I don't take lightly the fact that my decisions and the board decisions are in charge of 500 little minds. We will make decisions on what they're taught, who their teachers are, and what actually goes into their minds every single day. And I think that really makes a big difference in regards to just teaching them how to be kind, how to be gentle, how to be patient. And I would just love to be able to help make those decisions.
Thank you. In concluding tonight's forum, once again, thank you to the Rancho Santa Fe Education Foundation. Thank you to the audience for your civility and your good questions. I'd also like to thank the league people who worked here today. We have a timer, we have 3 question sorters, and we have 3 runners, I think. It takes a lot of people to make this work properly. And I want to thank and commend the candidates for their courage and willingness to run for public office. It's not an easy job, as most of you have said, that you're volunteering for, and I think you've done a great job tonight. So could we have a round of applause for the candidates?